Well, hey, Coach Nikki McCray, as we get set for another road trip, it is a really exciting time to be an Old Dominion Monarch.
Well, I think our kids have really done a good job of just staying the course and just finding some momentum. It's really good, to generate some momentum when you're home and you want to take care of home, which is what we've done all year long. And now we got to get on the road and, we got to still understand who we are and what we have to do on the road and just continue to get better. But yes, big road trip this week.
Yes, you're at Charlotte on Thursday and then Marshall on Saturday as you start whatever you want to call it, bonus play or I don't know. I've given up on giving it a name. Yeah. But you're coming off an overtime thriller against Rice and then your Hoops for the Cure victory against North Texas. Gets you to 22-3 overall, 12-1 and in first place in Conference USA. The entire conference has made one trip around the league now. So you're 12-1, Rice is 11-2, Western Kentucky 10-3, but they've won 8 straight since they lost here in Norfolk. Middle is solo fourth at 9-4, but they've won 5 of 6. Then you've got Charlotte, who's won 3 straight and 6 out of 7, entering your second meeting this coming Thursday night in Charlotte. The Niners and UAB are tied for 5th at 8-5. The Blazers have dropped 2 of 3, including the first of back-to-back meetings with Middle Tennessee. All 6 of the teams that I just mentioned, including yourself, of course, are in the field of 12. So that's half the field that's already been figured for the Conference USA Women's Basketball Championship in Frisco next month. And it's possible with a win against Charlotte, paired with a Middle Tennessee win against UAB, that you could wrap up a top 4 seeding with 4 games to spare. Mm-hmm. So position-wise, we were talking coming into league play on just how balanced this conference is. You're in pretty good shape, all things considered.
Well, I think, from top to bottom, you got those, those teams right there that anything can happen within these last 5 games. And, for us, we just want to get on the road and just continue to take care of business. But, this league has been really, on any given night, anybody can beat anybody. And, you want to get in a position where you're getting on a streak and you feel good going into tournament play.
Proof positive, though. This past Saturday, you got just about everything you could handle from North Texas. They put in a heck of an effort, did not go away, and you managed to walk away with the 5-point win. And they're sitting in 12th and having played a lot of close games and a lot of games that really could have gone the other way for them.
Definitely. Again, they're not indicative of their record. They're a young basketball team, and they got a tremendous post player that can just score at will and put so much pressure on you. But these teams just don't quit. Like I said, these next 5 games are going to be really, really hard. Like the rest of all of them have been hard. But again, you got to take care of the ones when you're home, and you want to try to steal some on the road.
We'll get to the accolades, and so you're getting a lot of pats on the back as a program right now, and it has been that way for the last few weeks. But it seems like what's humbling this group and keeping everybody in check is the physical state of this team. You have a lot of injuries and have had some setbacks here and there. How are you all going about that process, considering the number of injuries you've had in recent weeks, too? How's that changed how you all gone about your day-to-day business?
Well, I think, our practices are shorter, and just it's really more film work, just trying to get our kids to understand what we're doing in the scout. Our scouting sessions are a little bit longer than normal just because we're not on the floor as long. But when we're on the floor, just trying to get them to lock in, for 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, that we're doing drills and just trying to go as hard as we can. When we get to about an hour, it starts to drop off just because we don't have bodies, and we can't go as long.
Well, and last week was really the first time with this specific group that you've demanded extended minutes of your team. You really balanced minutes well, all things considered, at UTEP. But in her first game back from her foot injury and earning Conference USA Player of the Week honors, Asia Wayne played 30-plus minutes in both games last week at home, as did quite a few of her teammates. So, it's a challenge that you all are going through. It's a little bit of uncharted waters for a team that really has thrived on depth for much of this year.
Yeah, and I think, we saw that in the North Texas game, the second half. I thought fatigue kind of settle in. And we're a team that's in very, very good condition. And but when you go as hard as we go, and then you have somebody coming in, you're able to get a breather here. And we just don't have that, right now. So you're right. We had several players play 32 plus minutes, and they're not used to that. We're not used to that, but they're finding a way to battle through that. So hopefully we'll have everybody this road trip. Who knows?
Monarchs have won 11 in a row to get to 22-3 overall, 12-1, and in first place of Conference USA. As I mentioned, Asia got Player of the Week for the third time this season in Conference USA. Also, while you were practicing earlier this afternoon, the NCAA named your team the Team of the Week for your play against Rice and North Texas. Old Dominion and Western Kentucky are projected in Charlie Cream's latest field of 64 out of Conference USA. And for the first time for the program since late 2008, you're receiving votes in the USA Today coaches poll. So you got 7 of them to be exact. So as I mentioned earlier, yes, you're going through a lot of the motions right now, but you're also getting a lot of pats on the back too. It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's a credit to our team, and obviously this is the first that I'm hearing this. So that's how tunnel vision I am when it comes to just being locked in to what we have to get done. But it's great for our program. I think me taking over this program and assembling, a great staff and support staff, and obviously our players, we want to put this program back on the map. And they just play hard. I'm just so happy for them, but it is remaining true to who we are. That's it, and just really staying humble and hungry and just having that genuine love for one another.
And you have a target on your back. That's that, and this obviously puts a little bit more on that being at the top of Conference USA. But your players really seem to know that too, without even being provoked. They in discussions that I've had with a number of your players, they get the fact of where they are situationally speaking, and knowing that teams like what you just saw with North Texas are going to give you their best effort. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything different from Charlotte on Thursday.
Definitely. I mean, every team coming out, is going to play hard. This is a team. This is a league where you got great coaches and they got great players, and they play for their coaches.
Yeah.
And, they're playing hard. But yeah, we're getting everybody's best punch. Just like when we go on a road, we want to give, our best punch. We got to start a certain way, and that's what we have to do. So, for us, our best effort is, who we are. We're not trying to be anybody different. We're gonna try to play at our pace, and if people trip us up, then we figure it out, in the game, and how do we get back to staying true to who we are. We defend, we rebound. Those are 2 things that have been really strong staples for us and have allowed us to, be in a position that we're in right now.
Jane actually bragging on you here as well. She says, great coach. So give me a little props there as well. And as I see more and more of you tuning in, if you have a question for Coach, get it in right now, because we will be getting back to the business at hand as the Monarchs get set to go to Charlotte. We will leave tomorrow afternoon for Charlotte, North Carolina, play at Halton Arena on Thursday night, and then fly up to Huntington, West Virginia for Saturday's 3 p.m. affair against the Thundering Herd, which we'll talk about in just a second. But as far as we were talking about how banged up your team is, what's the latest with respect to Mariah Adams and Amaya Register?
Well, I think, again, everything is day to day, with them. And, that's where it is. And right now, I mean, the people that are in practice, just being mindful of their reps and what they're, how we can manage that. And I'm just putting time up on the clock. Once that time sounds, I mean, the buzzer sound, we're done. Like, if we didn't get it in, we didn't get it in. Just because I have to be mindful of the rest and the reps of our players. But it's day to day. It's really good to see Mariah shooting today, and trying to get in a little bit of practice. We did not have Amaya today.
Is it important to you and your staff that players, that when they do go out with injury, get a little floor time in when it comes to an active practice before being put into a game situation?
Oh yes, I'm very big on that. Our players know that if you don't practice, you cannot play.
Okay.
Just because the games are so much more intense, and we try to replicate that as much as we can in practice. But with 7 bodies, it's kind of hard. So we're sticking more to half court. We did a little bit of full court today, but not a whole lot, just to simulate some things in what we have to get better at and what we might see, on Thursday.
Last week before our show that was part of the breakfast aired, I got a question from Ashley, and I wanted to save it for this week here for you because I think it kind of ties into just what we were talking about a second ago with practice. She says, I know a lot of teams use guys as practice squad to scrimmage the team in practice. Before the start of the season, how do you pick your practice players? Do you hold tryouts, and are they required to be at games? And one of them is actually in here, your lead manager, Zay.
Yeah, I think for us, we do, our managers, our director of basketball ops, they do a really good job of picking our practice players and just trying to, simulate speed, some height, some physicality. We go over to the rec and try to get some guys, and it's word of mouth and all of those things. I think sometimes we've held a tryout, but it's just who can be committed, who can be committed, because they have a demanding schedule. We have a demanding schedule. But for the most part, we've had some really good practice guys, and they make us play ugly. They really make us play ugly. And, last year we had 2 really good guys. They were just really athletic and quick. But this year we got really good guys that are just as athletic and has some length, so we really rely on them a lot.
And that actually helped you. I remember you talking about it after the Charlotte victory, and I think also Western Kentucky, how your backs were against the wall, but you fell back on the fact that similar situations occurred with your practice players, and it caused your team to kind of figure out their calmness about themselves.
We didn't have them. They were in December because everybody was on Christmas break, but when we got back and we were home, they missed playing pickup. And I'm telling you, they were hungry, and they were going right at our kids. And the energy in our practice changed, and it was really good to see because they were beating us in scrimmages and talking smack. And, and I don't like to lose. And I'm like, stop, we cutting it off after this bucket. So, but it was good. It gave us really good momentum shift. I thought our kids really learned a lot about themselves, just playing at a different tempo and just really competing.
Old Dominion visits Charlotte for their start of the road trip on Thursday at 7 o'clock from Halton Arena. We will have live pregame coverage at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN Radio 94.1. As I mentioned a couple of days ago, with the men's schedule coming out, there are no conflicts with the men from here to Frisco. So we are going to be on the flagship for the remainder of the regular season and into the tournament, as we don't conflict with the men as well with the tournament schedules in Frisco. So ESPN Radio 94.1 is your home for Old Dominion women's basketball from now until mid-March, and then some with Old Dominion women's hoops. Speaking of which, let's talk about Charlotte. You pulled it out late against the Niners last time, but for the most part, scoring points against the 49ers was a real tall task.
Yeah.
And I've noticed it's been that way for a number of teams they played. Rice had a really difficult time scoring against them. A very small part of that had to do with the fact that Nancy Mulkey got injured in the third, and that really seemed to flip momentum of the game back to them once Rice was starting to come back from a halftime deficit. But even so, 29% for the contest for the Owls. And again, it took all the way up to about the last 4 minutes before you had that spurt to get back in front of them. Just how hard is Charlotte to score against this year?
We're so similar. They play small ball. They're fast.
Yeah.
They're able to switch and be physical. They're a tough team, and they get that toughness from their coaching staff, and but they compete, and they play extremely well at home. But we're very, very similar when it comes to our styles of play and how aggressive we are. And I think both of us take tremendous pride in our defense. So it's going to be a tough battle, and I just have so much respect for them and how tough they play.
How much do you draw upon how tough you had to be to win your last 3 games when you take on Charlotte on Thursday night?
I mean, it's every game is very, very important, and you got to have energy. You got to have a tremendous amount of focus, and you just got to have an intensity about yourself. I think if you have those 3 things and they're consistent, good things are going to happen, especially with this group because of our personality and our identity. I mean, we don't play perfect basketball, and that's okay, but the energy, the focus, and the intensity has to be there, and we got to match it on their floor.
Because the Niners are 9-2 at Halton Arena this year. They've only lost once in conference play, and that was to Western Kentucky by just a few points. Aside from that, Fordham took them to behind the woodshed in their meeting. But aside from that, they've looked really good at home this year. And again, that's 7 o'clock on Thursday night. You're taking on another team on Saturday. I know you're focused on Charlotte right now, but I do also want to point out that another team that you have this week in Marshall has been good at home as well. They're 8-5. In Huntington with wins over UAB and UTEP, and they're shooting the ball really well from three lately. Double-digit three-pointers made in 3 of their last 5 contests, which has helped them win 4 of the last 5 games.
We've played all the teams that we're going to see. What I remember about Rice, they are a team that can
Marshall,
that can hurt you inside out. They can get in the paint, they draw, they kick to their shooters, they get wide open looks, and again, our defense, it has to hold serve. So every team that we play from here on out, we're going to have to be solid in the things that we're solid in.
What in particular are you going to be working toward with the extra efforts that you're taking to make sure that your team is fresh and ready to play? What are the steps that you're going to be taking between now and Thursday night to make sure that by the time you hit that floor Thursday, you are optimized to take on Charlotte?
Well, just making sure we got good rest, making sure we're hydrating. Our practices are short and just detailed, and then our kids are getting sleep. I think that's going to be really key for us.
We're flying everywhere too.
We are flying everywhere, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, typically we don't fly to Charlotte. I mean, we've bussed there every time that I've been here with the program since we've been in Conference USA. But we're flying there and then flying to Marshall, and then we're actually catching a direct that night after the Marshall game. While our men are on the floor in Huntington, we'll be flying back to Norfolk out of Charleston there.
Definitely. We're so fortunate that, we're able to get some charters in, and I think it just allows us to get the rest and the recovery, that we need, and we'll need that because we turn around and, got like 3 games in 7 days.
That's it.
And that is going to be a tough stretch for us. So I'll take as much rest as we can.
Next home game, by the way, will come on Wednesday. Mark it, Wednesday, February 26th. It is a 6:30 tip, though, with it being a weeknight. 6:30 tip against Florida Atlantic. And again, we'll be on at 6 p.m. for that. But tickets for the February 26th game against Florida Atlantic are available right now at whynottix.com. Prior to that, at Charlotte, at Marshall this week. Coach, we hit the road tomorrow and looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So for Nikki McCray, I'm Doug Ripley. You've seen another episode of Empowered. For those of you watching live, yes, we started a little early, but if you hang tight just a little bit longer, once we go off the air, check back. We'll have the whole episode for you on demand right here on Facebook, as well as all the other episodes of Empower from earlier this year. Look forward to seeing you, and we'll talk to you on Thursday night on ESPN Radio 94.1 starting at 6:30 p.m.